Let's talk about DNF Duel. DNF Duel is the newest fighting game being developed by Neopol, the creators of Dungeon Fighter Online, Ating, developers of Bloody Roar and Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and Arc System Works, makers of the best fighting games ever. Don't at me. The game just had its second open beta and is set to release in a few months, and overall the game is pretty fun. It's extremely early days, so everything is subject to change, but the kits the characters have are interesting, the UI is clean and nice. It actually has a working infinite rematch system, which is godlike for specific reasons, and the developers seem to be listening to people's feedback between the betas, which is always a nice thing to see. If you participated in the beta, please make sure to fill out a survey, because there's a lot of things to talk about with the game, and the more people that tell the developers things, the better. And there is a lot to talk about with this game. More than I'll probably be able to fit into this video, so there's some things that have me concerned for this game. I do want to start out by saying I had a really good time playing the game. I do have a lot of gripes with the current state of the game, and considering the current beta is only a few months away from launch, I don't think they'll be addressed in time. But let's keep the mood up to begin with and talk about my favorite part of the game so far, the characters. Fighting games are nothing without interesting characters. When you think of a fighting game franchise, one of the things you probably think about first is your main character. And if you don't play it, it's probably the poster characters. Street Fighter, you got Ken and Ryu, training partners since they were kids trying to be the best. Tekken, you got the Mishimas, 7-time winners of the worst Thanksgiving in a row. Kazuya, that's not the turkey, what are you doing? King of Fighters, you got Terry Bogard looking out for everyone by leaving a fucking hole in their chest. All of these games have iconic and unique characters that stick in your head when you see them. DNF Duel is a spin-off of the Dungeon Fighter Online game, meaning that each of the characters represent a specific class that you'd be able to play in DFO. This leads to some interesting names. Why did you call your kid Grappler? Hey, it worked out, didn't it? But that doesn't mean that these characters are inherently boring. They each have unique quirks that make them stand out, even if they don't have actual names. But this isn't a design review channel most of the time. We're here to talk about the gameplay. So, are these characters good? Well, for the most part, yeah. Characters like Striker, Dragon Knight, Kunoichi, and even Grappler, surprisingly enough, were able to give me hours of fun during the beta with their interesting and unique kits that lend to fun scenarios. Hell, even characters like Ghostblade and Inquisitor were a lot of fun to mess around with, even if I didn't gel with just how slow they felt. Honestly, the only characters I didn't like playing were Ranger and Crusader, and if you've ever watched one of my videos, I don't need to explain that one. The offensive potential of characters is really fun. It feels like your character can just do stuff, and it generally works. Like, what? Striker is probably the best example of this, being the only character with true special to special cancelling alongside reverse beat. Striker is able to make long, intricate block strings and combos that feel sick to pull off. Do they do a lot of damage? Yeah, so we should probably talk about the universal mechanic. DNF Duel feels like what people who didn't like Granblue Fantasy Versus wanted Granblue to be like. You have 4 buttons. A and B are your standard normal attacks. You configure them as light and medium. Skill is your more powerful moves that change between characters. Grappler has his command grab attached to this button. Ghostblade just swings his sword like a crazy man and can cancel it into other moves. Striker has a bunch of wreckers on this button. Inquisitor throws the fucking cum chalice. They're basically heavy moves, but the game calls them skills, so cool. Finally, we have MP skills, which are your general special moves. Your special moves use up mana, which you can see under your health bar. This game uses both simple and motion inputs. If you use the motion input, your mana regen begins earlier compared to using the simple input. I'm pretty sure that's the only difference. Don't quote me on that. For most characters, the general link system goes A to B to S to MS. This isn't true for all characters. Striker is able to go back down the chain as long as they haven't used a mana special yet, and Crusader just doesn't have links at all, which makes him feel just... God, I fucking hate this character. Once you hit low HP, you enter a state known as Awakening, in which you get a passive buff and access to your super, known as the Awakening skill. Awakening skills don't have any invincibility on them, so you're mostly just going to use them as combo enders or risky whiff punishers. I rarely use them in the beta because I had no idea how to combo into them, but they look sick. The game also has a block button, which normally I would hate, but I don't think I ever actually ended up using it once during my entire playtime, as you're able to just use back to block instead. I basically just use the guard button for the dodge roll function. While I'm pressing forward and the guard button, your character does a roll towards the enemy, which gives you some invincibility frames. From what I can tell, the invincibility isn't as soon as you press the button, but it's pretty quick, meaning you can roll things on reaction. However, the recovery of it is pretty long, so you'll get hit out of it if you're not careful. Honestly, it kind of feels like a Dark Souls roll. Or maybe I've just been playing too much Elden Ring, who can say? Everyone can also guard cancel by pressing forward along with B and S at the same time. Now, this actually brings up a bit of a gripe I have with the game, and I want to talk about the defensive mechanic. Fighting games are defined by what you can do on defense and what the game lets you get away with. The most famous clip from our community is centered around a defensive mechanic, and that's sick because defense is extremely important. While DNF Duel does have some defensive mechanics, they don't exactly feel like they're enough, and the guard cancel especially really irritates me. See, this game has something a lot of games with a block button have, where you're only able to block for a limited amount of time before you become guard broken and get a free combo put on you. This is to incentivize players to not just block and try to go on the offense. However, people have found ways to break shields with one interrupted block string, and there's nothing the defender can do about it apart from use guard break. Well then, just use guard break, right? I would if it didn't cost 100 fucking mana! For context, a mana special generally costs around 20 to 30 mana, from my memory, and you start with a maximum cap of 100 mana. You gain more maximum mana as your health is decreased up to the max of 200 when entering Awakening state. The system on paper is fine, but because of how expensive the mana cost of guard break is, it doesn't seem like an appealing option, because when I am at max health, you lose access to all of your mana skills until the meter begins to recharge. If you drop to 0 mana as well, you enter Exhaustion state, in which your mana regen is halted for a few seconds to punish you from not managing it correctly. Because of this, players who are put in a scenario where their guard is about to be broken have to decide between losing a bunch of offensive potential, or they might take a 70% combo off of a full guard break. I didn't get into many situations like that in the beta, but there were times that I had less than 100 meter and I wanted to guard break to get back to playing neutral or running offense, and I just had to sit there for a really long string. I get that's a thing that happens in quite a few fighting games. It even happens in Strive when you don't have meter, but a game like Strive has other defensive options, such as faultless defense, instant blocking, and instant FDing that are able to get you out of these strings. It leads to a more interesting game on defense as the offending player has to react to what the defending player is doing. I get that DNF wants players to take a massive hit when using guard break, but as it currently stands, you're punishing them so hard for successfully blocking moves. Like, when people learn these guard break strings, your options are take up 70% combo or lose 100 meter. So how would I fix this? Well, there's a few paths I think we could take. You could reduce the mana cost to something like 50 or 55. So it's still steep, but you're able to do it more often and keep some mana to run offense. Or you could remove the mana requirement entirely and have it take away a block of your blocking gauge. This way players can't block as much because they're getting closer to being guard broken, but they're still able to keep their offensive juice. The offending player gets what they want with the enemy being closer to a free combo, and the defender gets out of that scenario without losing their offensive resource. Or just add some form of push blocking. Have it be like Reject Guard in Marvel vs. Capcom, where it pushes them far back and costs like 20 meter. Maybe bind it to A+B while blocking, so if the defender does it at the wrong time, they're forced to throw and get opened up for a combo. I think that it would work really well. As it is though, defense in this game feels too punishing, and it feels like you're entirely meant to avoid being put in block stun, which is fine if it's their intention, but there's a bunch of moves that are just absolutely massive and hard to avoid. Not impossible, the use of jumps and rolls make it for a more interesting neutral game, which is really fun to play around, but I hate the feeling of being on the back foot in this game. But that isn't my main concern with this game. It is a big one, but my main concern is with the user experience. Everyone fucking knows this already, but it has to be said so the developers can hear it. This lobby system is fucking ass! It's so bad, dude. Come on. You almost had it right. Once again, the curse of the Arxis lobbies strikes again. The game is fun. The menus suck dick. I do want to address first that a lot of people are complaining about there being no training mode in the game, which is admittedly fair. There were a few moments where I wanted to boot up a training mode and test stuff, but if the developers don't want us breaking the beta beyond belief, then that's fine. However, I think I figured out the reason that there is no training mode, and honestly, it's really dumb. If you go back to the DNF beta right now on your PS4, you'll be able to get to the starting screen and even the lobby select, but not past that. You're also able to edit your player card as much as you were able to in the beta. I think the reason that there's no training mode in the beta is because the developers couldn't figure out a way to add one that would stop players from entering it once the beta was over. Like, I seriously think that's it. Why else would you be able to get this far otherwise? Anyway, the lobby system is ass. The beta had no version of automatic matchmaking, so we had to just join lobbies of people and play them that way. Once you're in a lobby, it's fine. It's exactly like a bunch of other Arxis games. It works as well as it needs to, which is fine. The problem comes from getting into the lobby. When searching for lobbies, you were given a random number of lobbies with a range of connections based on your search parameters. You were not able to search by connection strength, by the way. If you're looking to fight randos, then it's completely fine. If you want to fight a friend, though, well, you better pick a gun and start praying. I got kicked out of a lobby with my super best friend Proxicon, and we literally spent around half an hour live on stream looking for his lobby again, and it drained the life out of me. And when I did find him, I got kicked out of it again. The game needs some form of private lobby system that works properly on launch, and it needs some form of skill-based matchmaking ladder that works properly on launch. Otherwise, people are going to bounce off the game like crazy and go do something else. We've seen it happen with other fighting games, and it's guaranteed to happen here unless you fix the lobby problems. Please, I like this game. I want it to do well. Don't fuck it up. That's all for today. I crammed this out in 2 days because YouTube decided my April Fool's joke was, not funny. So if you liked it, please leave a like and sub. It really helps me out. Also, tell me your experiences with DNF in the comments if you got to play the beta. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll hopefully see you next time.